Hello everyone, my name is Owain on the Thomas Bros channel, and today we're going to talk about the Devil May Cry Season 2 trailer. Okay, so this dropped 5 days ago on the actual Netflix account, but it was leaked before that, like a day or two before that, which I did see it when it got leaked, before it got taken down, and then obviously I saw it after it officially released on Netflix, and there's a lot to cover in this trailer. I did do a review on the first season of Devil May Cry, which I admit I probably over-exaggerated it, because looking back, the first season of Devil May Cry of the show wasn't as good as I said it was. There was a lot of flaws, and very much so Lady. Lady was god-awful in that. But I did like Dante. I thought they did Dante very well. I liked the ending of that season. I liked the animation, the fights, and I liked I liked overall everything they did aside from Lady and Darkon. That was really the only part that has brought the show down for me by a lot now. But this trailer actually looks good. It looks like what we wanted in Season 2, or at least that's the sort of vibe that I'm getting from it. But anyway, I guess we'll start. It opens with Dante talking to, presumably, Lady, saying, "Oh, you thought I was too dangerous for the world. What changed?" And you see him, obviously he's got the long hair that we saw in the Afterlife Evanescence sort of a music video, and he's looking at a new jacket. At least I'm pretty sure it's a new jacket, one that's more akin to what he looked like in Devil May Cry 3, which actually he looks a lot more like now how he does in Devil May Cry 3, because he's got the longer hair, the more dark red accurate coat, and he's got ebony and ivory, which is good because he never actually had them in the first season. He just had two regular guns that kept on breaking, so now he's actually got ebony and ivory, and that's really cool. And you've got Lady saying to him, "Oh, it's about your twin brother." Like, it's very chopped. When she says it's about your twin brother, we found him, it's very chopped. You can tell they just cut out two lines the Lady said and mushed them together, because she's going like, "It's about your twin brother," like that. So very much a sort of chopped thing there, which is sort of annoying, but it does show, obviously, that they found Virgil. Yay! We'll actually get to see Virgil, because in the first season, we saw him at the end, and we saw him, well, technically we saw him as Nello Angelo, but as actual Virgil, we saw him at the end when he said, "I am that storm," and that really shitty version of Barry Light started to play. And then we saw him at the beginning when, well, I can't exactly remember the name, the plasma shape shifted into him, but now we'll actually get to see proper Virgil, and you've got that part where he has the Yamato, and you see like slow motion getting unsheathed, and you've got like the shine off the blade and stuff. That was really well animated, and then to actually see him fighting against all those Darkcom agents, that was really badass, because he wasn't using the Yamato at all, aside from that last part where he does Judgment Cut. Or is it Judgment Cut End? I can never remember what's the difference between Judgment Cut and Judgment Cut End, but I think it's Judgment Cut End. Anyway, but you just see him jumping around. He jumps at one of the Darkcom agents, and he does like a triple kick right into their like face or whatever, then jumps down, kicks the other one, grabs the Yamato, and does the Judgment Cut. That was badass, because it shows that even though, obviously, he uses the Yamato a lot, he's really good at hand-to-hand combat, and with all of his acrobatics and stuff. That was really badass. I liked that. I also liked the part earlier on in the trailer where you saw Dante, after he's, like, gotten all dressed up, and he does, like, a big jump over these bunch of demons on a catwalk, and he starts shooting at them with ebony and ivory. That was cool. I liked that. And that's another thing. Earlier on in the trailer, when you see Dante shooting ebony and ivory and trying them out, you have in the background Lady, but then you also have, I can't remember her name, I think it was something like Goldstein, and she's the one that made Ebony Ebony and Ivory for Dante in the manga before the events of Devil May Cry 3. That's really cool. I really like that. I felt like this after the first season came out and you saw a lot of complaints about the Devil May Cry Season 1. Because obviously it's not as good as I thought it was, but it is. I think it's not as bad as people say it is. It is pretty good. It literally is mainly just Lady and that whole Darkon part that's the issue. The actual main part with the White Rabbit and Dante, all that is fine. It's just that Lady part. But the way I see it is that the first season was more so an adaptation of the manga, because obviously it didn't follow the games at all, aside from the basics, Sparda fought Mundus, blah, 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 sealed everything away, had 2 kids, and one of them's now Dante, jackpot and all that. But the way I see it, this first season was the manga, the sort of setup, watching Dante become Dante, getting, the jacket and all that. And now the second season will be, hopefully, adapting Devil May Cry 3. Because, you've got Virgil in the blue coat, you've got Dante now with the, Ebony and Ivory, and you've got all that. So hopefully, yeah, it should be an adaptation of Devil May Cry 3, which would be really, really cool, especially if they brought back Arkham, who we didn't really see anything of in the first season. He's just sort of in a backstory looking like a vampire. But then you also got that clip of, the humans attacking, the demon world, and... Alright, when it comes to Mundus is my aside from Virgil, Mundus is my favourite villain in Devil May Cry. I love Urizen, don't get me wrong, Urizen's a badass, and I love Urizen's design. It's one of my favourites in the entire franchise. But if we're talking as an actual villain, Mundus is my favourite because of just how evil he is. And we know from the first season that they tried humanizing the demons, and that was fine, I guess. I mean, it worked in some cases, and it didn't work in others. But if they try to humanize Mundus and give him some sort of sad backstory, that is just going to be god-awful. Because the point of Mundus is basically that he is just pure evil. There's no redeeming qualities about him or anything. He's not like Virgil, where he had some sort of justification or some sort of redeeming features. Mundus is pure evil. There is absolutely nothing to humanize or redeem about him. So I'm just really hoping that they don't try and humanize Mundus or basically any of the other demon villains. If they might be able to do something with Arius, or if that was his name, I can't remember, the guy that showed up at the end of, the villain of Devil May Cry 2, aside from Argosax, they might be able to do something with him, but really just, aside from Virgil, make all the main villains just evil, and especially Mundus. Don't humanize him at all, just make him a piece of shit. That's what we want. But anyway, and then you've got that last part of the trailer where Dante's facing off against Virgil in some sort of park, and he's like, "You learned how to make an entrance? That's new." And then Virgil walks down, and he's got the blue sparks, the blue electricity going around and show that he's gone out of his Nello Angelo form, and he's like, "I hope it would be you, little brother." And yeah, that's another thing. Virgil. I know a lot of people have been complaining about how Virgil looks in that specific shot because they're saying that he looks ugly and stuff. And I get it, because that's sort of what I thought when I first saw it, but at the same time, the camera's taking a position where it's looking up at him, so it's gonna look a bit weird. And in literally every other shot of the trailer, even in Season 1, he looked fantastic, aside from a bit of a weird hairline. But, it's the voice for me. Virgil's voice. Virgil no Virgiling. Virgil is not Virgiling it, because he sounds too deep. He sounds not like Virgil. You know, Virgil's a very raspy, sort of a more soft-spoken voice, if that makes sense at all. This one does not sound... It sounds like they tried desperately. They were like, okay, do Dante's voice, Dante in the show. Do his voice, but also try and do Virgil's at the same time. And in the end, he sounds more like Dante in the show than he does actually Virgil, or Virgil's supposed to sound like. So, that is... I'm sure I'll get used to it as the show goes on, but right now, no, it's not. I'm not a fan of the voice, but everything else about Virgil in that trailer was fantastic. And it ends with, Dante and Virgil charging at each other, ready to attack. And then you've got that ending part where it's like the half Dante, half Virgil thing, and it says, Devil May Cry 2. Yeah. Devil May Cry 2. That shows a lot of promise, doesn't it? Okay, this is, at least I think this season coming out next year is going to be amazing, and I think it's going to be way better than it was the first season. But I can't lie, the words Devil May Cry and the number 2, they don't go well together. You could have said Devil May Cry Season 2 at the end of that trailer and that would have been fine, but Devil May Cry 2 is not... Those don't go well together. But, I'm sure this second season is going to be absolutely fantastic, and especially now we've got Virgil. So, yeah, this is... I'm hoping this is going to be better than the first season, fingers crossed. And again, don't get Virgil wrong. I know a lot of people saying, why is Virgil working for Mundus? Mind control. I mean, he was mind controlling the games, that's why he's Nello Angelo. So, the same thing applies here where he's mind controlled and he's Nello Angelo. I think the main confusing part was just, then why can he turn back into Virgil? I think it's just because they either know, I think they just know that people don't want to see Dante versus Nello Angelo. They want to see Dante versus Virgil. So, and I mean, I don't really mind that because I don't think the Nello Angelo design in this show is really good. It's fine, but I think it's just too bulky and not as cool as the Nello Angelo in the game. The Nello Angelo in the games look really cool. This one just looks like a cheap knockoff version that's more bulky and just not good. So I would have liked to see Dante versus Nello Angelo, but I think for the most part, they're not going to have Virgil in the Nello Angelo form for the majority of this season, and they're just going to have him in his regular Virgil form, which I'm fine with, I mean, would have been cool, but with the Nello Angelo design they went with, I don't exactly blame them. So, yeah. Oh, and then you've got that part where Virgil's, jumps out from an explosion in the sky and lands on his feet. Yeah, that was cool as well. So, yeah, I like this. I really like that trailer. I'm really looking forward to next year to see how they're going to do this, how it's all going to play out. And, yeah. So, I think that's everything that I've had to say of it. If you guys have any opinions on Virgil or anything else in the first season or for the trailer for the second one, then please let me know down in the comments. And yeah, I've been Owain on the Thomas Bros channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Ta-da!